Welcome back to the channel, my friends. I am so happy to have you, but let's just get into it. So this is a pack of canvas that I got from Plaid. I am an ambassador and we are allowed to use our points to redeem items, and I redeemed this. It has 12 5x7 canvases, and here I'm just taking one out because that's what I'm going to use. Now, I got this rice paper graphic from my friend Brandy over at DIY Struggle. I will link her channel down in the description box below so you can grab a hold of that. She does have a website. And so because this is kind of transparent, I'm going to add a coat of white paint to the back of it just to give me that base so it doesn't seem transparent after I put it down on the canvas. And this is something I found out. I saw another crafter many years ago, I believe. I was scrolling and I saw where she added white paint to the back of her rice paper to give it a solid look after you put it down on the surface. Because you know, if you put it down on whatever surface you're putting it down on, if the surface is not white, it's going to come out transparent. So there I cut out the panel that I wanted, and I used my finger to just give me some rough tear, and then I went in with a goat. I went in with a coat of acrylic gray paint, and I'm also adding a little blue and white because I'm trying to catch the shade of the rice paper, and this one is plastic paint. Now I use my paint anyhow. Plastic I use on wood, plastic I use on canvas, as you can see here. I just use paint. But the plastic paint does work well on plastic surfaces. So I'm just blending it now just to get a shade that's close to the graphic. And now I'm using a dry chippy brush to just distress my canvas to give me some design. Really, I'm not going to do a lot on the middle because that part is going to be covered by the rice paper. So I'm just going around the edges and I'm trying to go in the same direction. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome, my friends. I am so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. I hope you consider subscribing before you leave. And now that I was done with the canvas, I'm now taking a makeup sponge and a little antique wax and distressing the edge of the rice paper just so it doesn't look flat when I put it on the canvas. Now that's done, I did the same thing with the canvas just to distress it a little bit more. Now because I added the antique wax to the edge of the canvas, to the edge of the rice paper, it looks like it's burnt, and that's a good effect that I was going for. So then I took some Mod Podge with my fan brush, applied a little, and then placed the rice paper down, use my finger to smooth that out, and then I'm going to use the heat press to just dry that or reactivate that Mod Podge underneath to seal it. And then I gave it a little bit more heat just to make sure that any little lumps that came up, I can smooth that out with the heat. And then for further embellishment, I got this roll of ribbon, had this in my stash from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just making a little finger bow, dovetailing the ends, and this one is almost done. Next, I flipped it over, added a piece of jute, just knotted the ends, glued down one side, knotted the end and glued that down, and that becomes the hanger, and that is done. Let me know what you think about this one. You'll see more of it in the final reveal. Now this next one is this picture frame I had in my stash from the Dollar Tree, and I'll be using some craft sticks. And here I'm just measuring one end on the edge of the picture frame. And once I measured and marked, I cut that out, and I'm going to go all the way around with the same measurement of craft sticks that I will cut out. So I remove the glass and the backing, and then I'm going to give the frame 2 good coats of Home Decor chalk paint in Adirondack, And after it dried, now I'm ready to apply the craft sticks going all the way around. So here I am using a little E6000 as well as a little hot glue, and I'm going to place the corner ones down first, and then I will go all the way around, just gluing down the other pieces. So I've glued on all my little pieces, and then I need to sand. So I took the sanding block and I'm just gently sanding down the edges of the frame just to make sure that the edge is smooth. And then I'm going to give it 2 good coats of this multi-surface paint. Now it's time to work on the inside. So this is a rub-on transfer that came from my spring pack. I've had this for about 2 years. And I like this shade blue, so I'm going to transfer it onto a piece of cardstock. These transfers require a little more pressure to get them off the carrier sheet. But once you get them down, they stays perfectly. So once I have that down, I then took the glass and I'm just cleaning that off on both sides, lining them up. Now I'm going to be replacing them inside the frame. I thought about staining the frame, but not everything requires a stain. My inspiration for this piece came from something that I saw on Wayfair, and I thought, oh, I have everything that I need to make this. So yes, I'm gonna make that. I also thought of adding additional like decor or decoration on it, but I said no, I'll just leave it plain as is. And this is what it looks like. Let me know what you think. This, my friend, is a trash to treasure. This is actually a water filter that came from my pitcher. If you saw a few months back where I reviewed a water pitcher that comes with a filter on the inside, well, this is a filter. So I got it open and now I'm trying to decide, okay, what other use can I use that for? So I set it aside. That's gonna take some additional creativity and thinking. And then I took the base and I'm going to give that 2 good coats of folk art plastic paint. I use my sponge dabber and dab that on. Now I'm going to use a bit of jute cord and just do some decorative design on here. Those little openings, I'm going to just wrap that section with the jute, all 3 sections. Next, I took the black ink pad and just went over those grazed area, just slightly distressing that section to give it some dimension. If you're still here and enjoying the content and you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like, share, and comment down below. Any action that you take on the video signals to YouTube that you are enjoying the content, and that will help them to push it out to more viewers like yourself. Now it's time to add some flowers. So I got a piece of flower foam, glued that down in the center, and then added the flowers according to my liking. And these are just random flower picks that I have used before. Now I don't think I'll be buying any more flowers or floral picks for a while because I have so much of this, I want to use them up. And this was made for a little shelf that I made from cardboard. I have not yet edited that video, so stick around, make sure your notifications are on so you won't miss it when I upload that. And here is my little bouquet of flowers. Love it, love it, love it. Made from a trash to treasure filter, and look at how cute that turned out. There again I have my little flower picks, and this was a clouch that I had in my stash, came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add some flower foam inside and then just added those. That little wooden fence came from a pack from the Dollar Tree, had that in my stash. All I did was just painted the flowers and the fence in white paint, and here I'm just gluing in the flower foam, cutting it down, making sure that it fits snugly on the inside. No, nothing is hanging out. And then I'm gonna add my fence. At first I was gonna glue it in first, but I said no, let me leave it first, add the flowers, and then I decide where I wanted to add it, and then I will add the glue afterwards. So now I'm just trimming down the stems just to make sure that after I put the cover on, it will fit. And this is what it looks like. Now it's time to glue the little fence in. But before I glued it in, I took the black Sharpie and I'm just outlining the edge of our fence just to give it some dimension and to make it pop. And then after I did that, now I'm going to glue that in. Just added a little hot glue and glue that in. Now you don't have to glue yours in if you are going to remake this or you're going to try this. Then I thought this needed something else. So I have these little wooden butterflies that I had got from Temu. And I took a piece of the flower stem, glued it on there, stuck it in the middle. And now I'm going to add some moss. Just so after I put the cover on, you're not able to see the flower foam. And once I had enough, then I put my cover back on. And this is what it looks like so far. Now to cover that area where you're seeing the moss, this ribbon also got this from Temu. I cut that, just split it right down the middle into, glued that on, and then I still needed to add something else. So I took some jute cord and went around the cloche quite a few times. This is what it looks like. Made a little finger bow without tails, glued that on, and that is done. You'll see more of that in the final reveal. We're starting with this little birdhouse, and we're going to be using cardboard. I pre-cut these, and here I'm just showing you the pieces that I've already cut. And now I'm going to be gluing them together. We're starting with the sides and the front and back of our birdhouse. I love using cardboard. If you like using cardboard in your DIYs, put a spring flower emoji down in the comments down below. So I'm gluing the pieces together. Now I'm gluing on the roof, and here we have our house, birdhouse, all glued. Now I'm going to be what do you call this now, decoupaging, or this is not decoupage, they have another name for it. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know that down in below. It just slips me right at this moment. But I cut some pieces of brown paper and I soaked them into some Mod Podge, diluted Mod Podge with water. And here I'm using that to close up or to hide the corrugated opening of the cardboard box. And now my birdhouse is all glued and decoupaged. I'm using some white paint to give it a base coat because we'll be decoupaging with the napkin. I got this beautiful napkin from the Dollar Tree last year, and I'm going to be using just the bottom half of it. So I cut that into, remove the second ply, and now I'm using the same Mod Podge dilution or solution to put my decoupage my napkin on. Here it is all done. And this is where I'm showing you that I did not realize that I did not leave enough room for the edge of the roof. So I'm going to be using this scrapbooking paper that I have in a pad I purchased at Walmart a few years ago. And I'm going to be using that for my roof. So I glued that on using the glue stick. And now I'm taking a piece of bamboo stick and cut down 2 pieces, and then I got these pre-painted tumbling tower blocks from my stash, and I'm gluing these pieces together. This is going to form the porch of our birdhouse. So this is where I'm adding the pieces of bamboo sticks that I had cut down. I just cut them down, cut slots into the cardboard, and then just forced the sticks in there and added a little hot glue. And then I took a paint bottle, drew a circle, and then painted that circle with some black paint. We have our faux perch for our birds to perch on and our little hole that represents where they're going to be crawling into their birdhouse. So now I'm ready to glue on the top of the house to the base. I'm using wood glue because that gives me the flexibility of moving it around before it actually sets. And then for the porch, I'm going to use the hot glue to glue that down. And now my birdhouse is almost done. So now I'm going to fill that box with some flower foam. I'm just going to glue that in. And I have some reindeer moss. I'm going to glue that on top of our flower foam. And then I'm going to add some flowers to that. And I just added as much little scraps of flowers that I could find. And then I have this ladder, this little wooden ladder that came in a set or in a pack. I'm gluing that one right to the corner there, and then just added some more flowers for further embellishment. Added a little butterfly on top of the ladder and a little piece of greenery to the left, and our birdhouse is done. So cute. Picked up at the Dollar General for $1, and all we're going to be doing is just decoupaging our napkin on that. But first I painted it with some white paint. Then I removed the second ply from my napkin after I cut that down. I don't remember where I got this napkin from. I may have gotten it from one of my little crafting friends. I don't remember. But it's cute, and we're going to be using that today. So here I'm just adding a little hot glue, not hot glue. I'm just adding some Mod Podge to decoupage our napkin on. Wow, that was a lot. But you got the picture. You understand what I'm trying to say here. And then I took the nail file, and I'm just filing off the excess in a downward motion. Guys, I said that this is going to be easy, and it is easy. And then I took some Mod Podge and I'm going over the napkin to seal that. And our bee or bumblebee at the top there, it looks too plain, so I'm going to be doing something with that. But before I did anything, I took a gold marker and I'm just going around the edge of our letter L here, and I'm going to continue all the way around to the other letters. And then for our bumblebee, I'm using a black ink pen and just adding some dots to his wings just to make it not look so plain and flat. And then I just replace the sign into the little holder using a little hot glue, and this one is done. It says love grows here. You'll see more of that in the final review. Let's have a little cat fun break. Another Dollar General piece, very easy, not doing much to this at all. But before I did anything, I just peeled off the sticker at the back, sanded down the edges, and I'm only going to paint the outside of our letter with the white paint. Now that's done. I needed this to stand on anything. I needed this to stand on something. You can actually leave it to stand on its own, but I needed something else. I needed a base. So I took a piece of paint stir stick from the Dollar Tree, or not from the Dollar Tree. I think I had this in my stash. Painted it with white and then took some antique wax and just distressed that a little bit. And here I'm using my paint pen to just color in the letters on the word that spell spring. Used different colors. I didn't change anything to the hello. And here I'm just adding a little Mod Podge over that to seal it. And now I'm ready to glue on that to our base. Now, where I had placed some masking tape down in places where I did not want to paint, and there is where I was peeling that off. And then now I'm going to add some wood glue as well as a little hot glue and glue that on. If you're enjoying the content and you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to do so, and click that bell too as well so you're notified whenever I upload new content. And I thought it needed something else, so I took a little amount of the reindeer moss, glued that down right where I had an empty space, and then found some other little pieces of flowers, glued that in. And this piece is done. I love it. Simple but beautiful. Now you don't have to do a lot to some of the things, the decor pieces that you buy, just a little thing to touch them up, and this one is perfect. Now we're moving on to our next one. This is another Dollar General find, $1, and like the one before, this one, the spring one, I'm not going to do much. I just painted the border with some yellow paint, and I added some masking tape just so I did not get any paint on the chalkboard section. Then I took a white chalkboard marker and wrote the words "Hello Spring," added some little flowers to the left or right corner, and that one is done. So here is a foam circle or foam round. This is the name of it. I got this from someone who was clearing out their stash last year. And so I just removed the package, and this is my wood round, 12 inches wide or in circumference. I had thought about using these two pieces of cardboard because they were actually white, but they weren't working for me, so I changed my mind and used the brown cardboard. It wasn't wide enough to go around the wood round, so I had to piece it and join it, but that's no issue because I'm going to cover that up with a piece of brown paper. And I'm using wood glue here because, hey, that's what was at hand at the time, so I just went ahead and used that. Once I spread that on, put the paper down, and just use my hand to smooth that out. I purchased 2 shelving units recently, and these V-Guard pieces, hard cardboard pieces, came inside the box, and of course I will be using those as my legs for the risers. So I placed them down, measured where I wanted them to be, used the pencil and just trace out where I needed to cut. Then I used the X-Acto knife and cut those out. Did you see the birdhouse that I made using cardboard? I will link that at the top for you. You have to check that one out. I love using cardboard in my projects. I am loving how this is turning out so far. Guys, don't skip ahead. You are going to love this project. So I set that aside, and now I'm going to work on the foam and the wood round. So I painted my wood round with 2 good coats of folk art Adirondack, and now that is dried, I'm going to distress it a little bit. So I'm using some coffee latte and a dry chippy brush, and I dusted that off, just worked out the paint inside the brush, and then went across my board. I don't want it too heavy, just lightly. And then once that was dried, I grabbed my rub-on transfers. Guys, I am so in love with these transfers. If you want to get some for yourself, this is linked in my description box below. You can grab that from my Amazon store, and while you're there, check out to see what else I have listed in my store. And of course, this is iron-on or heat transfer, so you are going to need some heat for this. So I placed it on my board, just making sure that it was centered. Grabbed my parchment paper and my mini heat press and applied some heat to that. This is also a hot peel, meaning you want to make sure that you are peeling it while it is still warm, not too hot, while it is still warm. And then once I peel that off, I just use the same carrier sheet to varnish it. And if while you're peeling and it's not coming up, just lay it back down and use your finger to just help it along. And then you want to use some sealant to seal it. In this case, I am using some Mod Podge. So I just place that on there, use a fan brush and spread that until it was tacky and allowed it to dry naturally. Now we're going to glue on our foam to our cardboard piece. So I place the foam down, and then I'm going to add my hot glue. I'm using a lot of hot glue here, and I'm making sure to apply the hot glue on the section where the tape is. And I place that on top of my foam, use my hand to just press that down, and this fits so nicely on top of it. Then I cut 2 strips of cardboard. I'd actually cut these before. My original idea was to strip off 1 layer to give me that corrugated section on the inside, but it wasn't coming off and I didn't want to spend too much time doing that, so I changed my mind. Just roll the cardboard until it started forming a semicircle, so I was able to glue it on easier. Friends, are you loving this project so far? Go ahead and hit that like button. Hype if you see that icon that says hype, and let me know in the comments down below whether or not you're liking this project so far. So once that was done, it's now time to glue on the wood round to my foam. Again, I am adding a lot of hot glue here because hot glue is what is going to keep it together. Place my wood round on there and then just use my hand to press that in place. Now there was a little space around it because of course the foam is a little bit larger than the wood round, but that is no issue. I had some braided rope. Well, this is not braided, it is rope, jute rope, and I am going to glue that to fill up or to cover up that opening on between the foam and the cardboard. So I glued down one end and just went right around gluing until I got back to the other end, and that sealed it. I love how this is turning out so far. Guys, I can tell you, I had it in my mind, but as I was crafting, it was all coming together, and that is my little happy dance that I'm doing there while I was listening to praise and worship. So now I'm going to glue on my legs. I took some cement glue. This came from the Dollar Tree, and I added a lot of that and a little hot glue in the 4 corners, and then placed the legs on the in space there, and this went in so snug. It went in so snug, and there I am doing my happy dance again. I was so happy with how this project was turning out. So now to add further embellishment, I decided to go around the edge of the legs with some jute cord. So I started at one end, went right around and met back at the other end, and I did the same for the other 2. Now when I flipped it over, of course there was still a little space and the corrugated section of the cardboard was showing in some areas. So I just used a little caulking from the Dollar Tree and fill up those areas. And what you don't see is I went around that with some jute cord as well. And this is done, my friends. God is within her. She will not fail. She will not fail. That's the scripture that is on this one. So let me know what you think about this. So we're on DIY number 10, and this is a compilation of spring crafts that I have made already, and I put all of them together on one video for you, so please enjoy. I will link the individual videos in the description box below, so if you want to check those out instead of the mega video, that is there for you as well. And then I'm just taping that down. I will be mixing some paints. So these are the 2 paints that I will be mixing. I am trying my best to come as close as possible to those blue jars that's on my transfer there. I did not get the correct or the right shade that I wanted, but I love the one that I got, and so I was happy with it. So I mixed my 2 paints, and now I'm going to just paint that little section that I had taped off. I gave that one good coat, and these paints are very pigmented, so you don't need a lot, and only one coat is sufficient. So once I did that section, I just flipped it around and then did the top section, and here I am drying it, making sure that it was dried. I removed the tape, and now I'm going to paint the middle section with that paint, and that is one of Folk Art's multi-purpose paint. I will show that at the end of the video. So here I'm just cutting off the top part of the transfer that says "Today I choose," and that I am going to place that at the top, and then my jars I am going to put that in the middle. I did the same thing, put the parchment paper over it and the heat, and now I'm peeling away the carrier sheet. And then once I peel that off, I'm going to just turn it over and burnish that. When you woke up this morning, which one of these virtues did you choose? Faith, hope, love, or joy? So, got that done. Those 3 foam roses, I had pressed those and kept them in my stash, but I need to paint them. I took a piece of painter's tape, and here I'm using some Martha Stewart metallic paint. I painted my roses and then set those aside to dry, and now I'm going to add some holes at the top of my wood round for my hanger using my handy dandy Hardell drill. I love this thing so much. This is baker's twine or butcher's twine. I think that's what that is. So I'm going to add some beads to that. I strung these beads, and then I'm going to feed it from the back to the front and knot a tie or made a tie on both sides, and then that will be done for now. My friends, if you are enjoying the video so far, go ahead and subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. If you find value in the content and you think that there is somebody who you can share this with, go ahead and share the video out. Lots of budget-friendly ideas for you on this channel. So now I'm gluing on my roses using the cement glue and a little hot glue. Glued those down in the center. And then it looked too plain, so I took the furniture marker and I'm just making a little about 1/4 of an inch stitch line all around my board. I did not go all the way up to the top on the other side because here is where I am going to add a little bow, and I was trying to decide which color would suit better on here. I chose the cream one, and I just made a awareness bow, scrunch that in the middle. Use some of the same butcher's twine to just tie that, and then I am going to glue that down. And that is all because I did not measure before I placed the transfer down, so that space that's on the right is a little more than what's on the left, so I'm just trying to fill that. So that's why I'm putting a bow right there, but the mesh bow was too flat, so I got a piece of burlap fabric, cut a small piece, and I'm going to glue that down at the bottom and then glue the mesh on top of that. I still needed something to contrast with that, so I glue another little jute bow on there, and that is done, my friends. This is so cute. I love it. In today's video, I am going to show you how a few simple floral elements can complement or transform your space into something peaceful, feminine, and beautifully inviting. So let's jump in. This is one of those Dollar Tree rectangle signs, and I cut it in two, but I'm gonna use this half for this project. So I'm just peeling off the label or the sticker from the back, and then once I had that done, I flipped it over, and here I am just covering the hole by adding some sparkle to that, and then I am going to soak that off. So I'm just spraying it down with some water, and I'm going to add a piece of paper towel over that to soak it off. Next, I gave it 2 good coats of this multi-surface vintage white paint and dried that, and then I took 2 bamboo strips and painted that with some multi-surface cool bisque and dried that as well. This is IOD transfer that I had in my stash. I am going to place that on my board, so I peeled off the backing, and this is very easy to rub on. You don't need a lot of pressure for this. So once I centered that on, then I'm going to take my little rub-on stick and I'm going to rub that on gently, making sure that everything transferred. and a tiny piece of the leaf wasn't transferred over, but I ain't gonna worry about that. I'm not gonna waste my time with that. No, you can rub that on if you want to. I just couldn't be bothered. So now I'm getting ready to glue down my strips. So I just measured where I needed to cut, and I'm cutting the end where the two strips are going to meet at an angle so that they are flushed when I glue them down. And once I trim that down with using the miter saw, I am going to use a little of the hot glue as well as wood glue to glue this down. With the pieces cut and before I glued them down, I decided to use some Mod Podge to seal my graphic, because you want to seal that, you want to make sure that it is finished or before you glue on your strips. So then I took the wood glue and a little hot glue and glue that down. Now I only did one side because that's what I was going for, long side and one piece along the short side. Then I just took some little clips from the Dollar Tree and clipped that down to keep them in place long enough so that they dry, so I can proceed with the rest of the project. While that is drying, I decided for the next side, I took a piece of this lace. This is from the Dollar Tree, and I glue one end down and then run that along the edge of the board, and did the same thing for the other side, but just going partially down the side. And then I found this piece of lace that is from the Dollar Tree. Here I am just using a little bit of the same paint that I used on the bamboo strip and the fan brush, and I'm just dusting that over the mesh. And then next I took some antique wax with the same fan brush and just wiped off a little of the antique wax and went over the mesh with that, just to change up the color a little bit and give it a distressed look. And then I made a small bow from this ribbon that I got from Temu and dovetail the ends. I'm gonna glue that at the top left corner there. And then I'm gonna scrunch up my mesh and just glue that on top of the ribbon. I said ribbon, but I meant bow. And I made a little butterfly, some Dollar Tree clay. I usually make these and put them down to dry for future use. So I glued on the butterfly, flipped it over and used a piece of ribbon for hanging, and this one is complete. Let me know what you think about this shabby chic wall hanging decor. So this one is a very easy one, my friends. I got this napkin from my friend Katie over at Lady Red Crafting, and that saucer has a chip on it, so I decided to just turn it into something else. And I'll be using that plus the candle stand, and to just do both in one sweep, I added some Mod Podge to the paint, and I'm gonna just use that as my mixture. And I painted the candle holder as well as the saucer, and then let that dry. I opened my napkin. Now guys, you will see my boo-boo in a minute, but you want to make sure that you check plies your napkin has, because you might run into problems when you realize you have more plies than you actually need. So here I am applying my paint and the Mod Podge mixture, and the reason I added the Mod Podge with the paint is because I just wanted to do two things in one. The paint, I didn't want to just paint first and then apply the Mod Podge, so you can actually do this. And this is where I realized that the napkin had an extra ply. So after I placed it on the paint surface, I realized that it wasn't going on as it should, and that's when I realized that there was an extra ply there. So I took that off. Good thing that it did not affect the top layer, which is the section that I wanted the most, and then just cleaned that up and did it over. So here I go again, adding the paint again for the second time. But this time, rather than doing it in sections, I just did it once and then just placed the napkin over that and used my finger to just smooth that out. Making sure I pushed the napkin down in the center of the saucer was. And then I dried it a little bit with the heat gun. Then to remove the excess napkin, I used a small paint brush with some water and just wet the edge of the saucer and just tear the napkin off in a downward motion. And then to seal it now, I took the fan brush and some Mod Podge and went over that and sealed it. Next, I took a little rubbing buff on the tip of my finger and went around the edge of the saucer to just give it a little gold. And then I did the same thing for the candle stand, except that I just went on the outer edge or ridge in some places, not all of it. And then I'm gonna glue this on with. For permanent hold, I use some E6000, and for instant hold, I use a little hot glue, and I turn the saucer face down, and I'm going to turn the candle stand over that. Just eyeball it to make sure I was placing it right in the center. And then I just flipped it over, and this little trinket tray candle stand is done. Let me know what you think about this one. I love it. Here is another easy one. I had these two candles on two wall hanging shelf kind of thing that I made in the very first year when I started my channel, and they've been just there. I don't burn these, I just have them there as decor. One was a little burnt down than the other, so here I'm just trimming that one up, and I'm gonna use a napkin, and all I'll be doing with these is to decoupage, if you want to call it that, the napkin onto the candle, because these are just decor pieces. I don't burn these, but they are wax candles, as you can see. I got this napkin from the Dollar Tree last Easter, can you believe it, or spring, thereabout, sometime last year. And I'm gonna use one ply, but the ply are like double-sided, or they mirror each other, so I'm just cutting off one section, and I'm gonna use one section on one candle and the other section on the other candle. So I took a small piece of masking tape on either side of the napkin and just pull them apart to separate the plies. You don't want to make the same mistake I did earlier on. And then I'm going to just use the heat gun, or not the heat gun, my mini iron, to decoupage the napkin onto the candle. So welcome to my channel if you're new. Thank you so much for stopping by. On this channel we do lots of budget friendly crafting, so if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and be sure to hit that notification bell as well, so you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. So here we are done with our candle. I took a piece of jute cord and I'm wrapping around a piece of the jute around here, and I'm gonna tie a little bow, little finger bow. And here they are, both of them. You'll see how I styled them back where they were, right in that same position on those shelves inside my living room. You'll see more of that in the final review. That I had made maybe 3 months ago when I was in the mood of making stuff with cardboard, and I'm gonna be using 2 of Dollar Tree's peel and stick. I love how this turned out. Like I mentioned, I was in the mood of making stuff with cardboard, and this one I am just now editing the video. So after I was done adding the 2 sheets of peel and stick, I had just about a small portion left, and it would not do for the sides. So I had to resort to using scrapbooking paper. that was closely resembling the peel and stick, but it worked. This will be going in a small area inside my washroom. So here I am just gluing the pieces together. Do you like this napkin? I love it. My friend Jackie Burns sent it to me. I bought a box of these wooden shelves from the thrift store last year, and this is my third or fourth one that I'm using. So I just peeled off the stickers at the back and used the sanding block to just sand it down. I love to sand down the edges of my project, and then I'm just dusting it off, and then I gave this 2 good coats of folk art Adirondack. Now it's dried. I decided not to paint the tips because I wanted those in a different color. I used folk art True Burgundy, and that's just to match the petal that is on the napkin as close as possible that I could get. And now that is dried, I am now going to decoupage my napkin on, and I'm just trying to find the best placement so I can maximize the usage of all of those leaves, and also to make sure that I have enough to come over on the lip of our shelf. And once I decided now that I'm ready to glue that on, I am going to use my Mod Podge. But first you have to make sure that you remove all of the extra plies of the napkin. I didn't realize that this one had 3 plies, and I only removed 1, and then later on found out that there was a second ply that I needed to remove. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love to decoupage. I have quite a few videos on this channel showing how I decoupage, so I won't bore you with all of the steps. If you are new, however, I will link a video right at the top here so you can check that out when you get done watching the playlist. So I added the Mod Podge and the napkin, and here I'm just placing a piece of saran wrap over that and just use the palm of my hand to smooth that out. Well, you can use your parchment paper and some heat. For the corners, I pleated the napkin and folded that over, and then I took the emery board and filed off the excess in a downward motion. I didn't do the back that is going to be against the wall because there was no point in covering that. And where the pegs are, this is how I chose to make room for that. I took a pen and just marked where I needed to snip a little hole over, and then you can separate the napkin. You can cut it in strips and lay them around the pegs, but I chose to mark where the pegs are and then just cut a little hole and then feed it over the pegs so that I have one piece, cohesive piece of napkin rather than in pieces. So that is how I chose to do this. Now, like I said, you can do it by just cutting the napkin in strips and working your way around the peg. It was a little tedious, but I got it done. Enjoying the content so far? Go ahead and hit that like button to support the video. And then of course the holes were not perfect, so I had to cut little strips of the napkin and just decoupage that to cover where the spaces were. Now to seal it, I'm using my Mod Podge Multi. This is 2-in-1, both Mod Podge and sealant. And I shook that up quite well and then just placed a little on top of the napkin and spread that and dried it with the heat, and that should be good enough for sealing. Then I flipped it over, mark where I needed to drill to add my hanger, sawtooth hanger. Use my handy dandy Hardell drill, made 2 holes. Added a little hot glue and then placed the hanger inside the holes, and this completes this one. And I actually made 2. Love them. Next, we're using this piece that I got from Dollar General. I've had this in my stash for 2 years. And now I'm going to be removing the chicken. I removed that, and I'm going to give the frame a good coat, not heavily, because I still want some of that black to peek through. Gave that a good coat and then dried it. This is my wood piece. Painted that with some folk art almond latte, and I don't want it to be painty, so I sprayed some water on there. Use a piece of napkin to just wipe that back. Dried it, and then I'm distressing it with a little antique wax, just lightly, and just went over the frame to dirty that up a little bit. Then I took 2 pieces of strips, used the same antique wax and just dusted those, and I'm going to rest the wood circle on top of that. So I inserted them inside the frame. Here I'm just testing out the circle to make sure it fits before I glue them in. Then I took 2 half beads, glued them right in the middle because I wanted the circle to rest on top of that, and glued that down. Now here is my transfer. I've had this in my stash as well. So I cut this piece off and rubbed it on to the circle, remove the carrier sheet, and now I'm going to glue that on top of the beads in the middle. This playlist is all about making anything with wood. So if you have a channel, if you craft and you would love to join us, DM either myself or Brenda and we'll get you added to the chat. Links to Brenda's, Kathy Jo, and myself, our channels, will be in the description box below, as well as the playlist. And then I wanted to give it a little bit more embellishment. I took the furniture marker and I'm just making some stitch marks right around the frame. And I had these little flower petals made from clay that I usually like to make them and put them down so I can use them when I'm ready. Glued those down at the top and bottom corners, and then took some Mod Podge and just went over that and sealed it. And this one is done. I picked up a bunch of these wood ovals from Michael's sometime maybe 3 months ago. And what I'm doing, I'm just marking off a small portion at the bottom of each that I'm going to remove and turn that into a stand so that they are able to stand up. So I've sawed those off or cut those off using the miter shear and then sanded them down. And now I'm going to glue on the pieces, the top piece onto the smaller piece. So I have like a little piece hanging off at the front, and then I took tumbling tower blocks and glued those at the back, which would enable them to stand on their own or act as support for them to stand. And then once I got all 3 done, I painted them all with 2 coats of folk art Adirondack. Now they're all dry. Now I want the top of each to have a different color. So this is some folk art furniture chalk paint, and yellow for one, blue for the other. I will link the paints down below so you know what exactly I used. And then to give them a little distressing, and on the edge I took the chippy brush and the antique wax and just went over the edges to distress that just a little bit. Now that's done. These are from the same transfers that I used earlier. Welcome to my channel, my friend. If we haven't met yet, my name is Christine. If this is your first time and you're enjoying the content so far, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button to join the family. On this channel, we do lots of budget-friendly crafting, and I'm sure you will find something here that you will enjoy. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to turn your notifications on as well so you don't miss when I upload my next video. So I peel them off, rub them on just like I did for the one earlier. And these take a little elbow work because they don't go on as easily as the ones that you get from the Dollar Tree. So you have to rub these on with a little bit more strength. And then once I got those off, I added some Mod Podge to seal everything in and just to remove some of the glossiness or the sheen from the transfers, to tone them down a little bit. Now for further embellishment, I'm using some flowers. I have a bunch of these flowers that I had purchased from Sheen or Shane, if that's what you call it. So I'm just gluing those down on the ledge there for each of my pieces. Now this one is a little shorter, that's why the ledge at the front is wider, because I cut off a lot more from that than I did for the other two. And I wanted something else at the top. I took a piece of jute cord and just glued down the end at the back and wrapped that 3 times and then glued that down. Made some little bows, tiny bows, glued that on one end or one edge or one side for each of these. For the 2 larger ones, they were on either side, and for the smaller one, that was in the middle. And these are done, friends. Let me know what you think about these. Now here we are for our scripture, Proverbs 27 verses 15 and 16. A quarrelsome wife is like the dripping of a leaky roof in the rainstorm. Restraining her is like restraining the wind or grasping oil with the hand. You don't want to be that quarrelsome wife. Please don't. Now here we are for the final reveal. Let me know which one of these projects today was your favorite. And guys, if you enjoyed the content and you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? My analytics tells me that 80% of my viewers are not subscribed. Please go ahead and do me a favor. Subscribe and hit that notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. If you would like to help support the channel, you can scan this QR code and that will take you to my Linktree address. And there you will find a Buy Me a Coffee link. You can click on that to support the channel. And for all the other social connects, you can click on those to follow me. And I will greatly appreciate if you would stick around to watch all of the final reveal.